Hi everyone, it's Niamh here and welcome to my art journaling channel. Today we're going to be doing some bold stenciling in our art journals. So this is a stencil from the Crafters Workshop. I think it's a Julie Bolzer stencil. Don't quote me on that though. And I really liked how geometric it was. So I had this page in my journal where I had some leftover black paint and painted over the two pages, I think, and I'm just going in with white paint and stenciling all over my page. Now this is not a usual way I would start off a page. It's very stark, but I just wanted to use, I really loved this stencil and I just wanted to use it in some way, shape or form on my page to the best of its advantage. So just having this in black and white sort of gave me a real understanding of how it worked and how I could use it in the future. It's not necessarily one I would use for doing the ghosting technique, for example, because there are such big spaces in it. It would certainly be one to do some pattern play over the top and do sort of like little mosaics, because you could actually stencil over the top again in some of those different areas, which would be really, really cool. But I like how it kind of matches up to each other, which is good. The top, obviously, you can see I've got a bit of a gap, so it doesn't go quite to the top of the page, but I knew I was going to do some collage on this page, and when I put collage on, I do tend to put a border around my work, so I knew I could cover that part up with a border of either washi tape or something like that over the top. I've got these two images I cut out of a magazine. So the first one with the face I really love because it has that beautiful projection of flowers on her face, and then I have the body, which has got the different faces sort of coming in, and I'm just going in with my black pen to outline everything. Now if I had really been thinking about what I'm doing, I probably would have put the border down first before I did this. Down the bottom, I'm certainly not worried about putting the border over the top of her body, but I would have liked to have the border go behind her hair, so like her head was facing out of the frame, and that would be a lot easier to do before you glue it down. So you know, don't do what I do. Learn from my mistakes. So I'm just going in and adding some extra detail to my image using some different colored paint pens, and I'm kind of choosing some colors from the shirt itself. They're sort of very subtle, sort of pinky yellowy colors within the image, so I'm sort of using those to help choose what colors I want to do on this. One of the things I do like to do is to add extra sort of bold colors onto the image as well. So because I had the orange on the image, I decided to use a green as a base color and then put some more warm colors over the top with the red. Now I'm finding I'm using quite thick pens with this one. You can use any size paint pens obviously, and if you didn't have paint pens, use your Copic markers or paintbrush and paint. Whatever you've got will work. Even on blank areas like the arms, you can get your stencils out and do some stenciling, and you can see here I'm going back in. I just made dots with my paint pen, and now I'm going back around them and outlining them to add a little bit of extra texture onto them and a little bit of more detail. So this is where I have lots of fun with my collage images, is just making them my own by adding random stuff to them. So once I'm finished, I'm going to go and put my border in. So I did choose a sort of white border. This is I think it's DD Cauldron washi tape, I think from Unwell Studios. Don't quote me on that though, which I really liked. So you can see I just got my craft knife out and cut around the image where I needed it. That to me is a lot safer than trying to peel up the image I've already glued down. Obviously magazine paper is a little bit delicate, so I would be more likely to tear the magazine image than I would be to damage the washi. So I thought I'd go for removing the washi. One thing I do tend to do though is go around and actually put another border next to the washi tape. So you can see I got a thick black pen just to frame it a little bit, and now I'm going in with a pink pen to frame that. So it just gives you that real distinction, I suppose, from the other parts of the page. Because I liked the pop of pink, I'm actually going around my stenciled image and just roughly drawing around all the little sections with my pink pen just to frame it up and give it a little bit of unity, I suppose, in how it's all going together. So I'm not being particularly careful. Obviously, if you wanted to, you could pop the stencil back down again and use the stencil as a drawing frame and just draw around the edges like that. I quite like my sketchy lines and not quite perfect, but if you wanted it to be nice and straight, obviously using the stencil would be a really handy tool to have. And obviously you can use any color to do this. And if you got really carried away and you were enjoying yourself, you could put lots of different patterns within the shapes that you're drawing around as well, which would be quite cool, particularly because the collaged image itself is quite pattern heavy, with the flowers on her face and the shirt that she's got and so on. So once I'd drawn around with a little bit of pink, I was then trying to decide what I was going to do next. And I'm going in with a quote. And I've actually chosen yellow to start writing my quote out. Again, to sort of highlight the colours, those bold colours, not bold colours, warm colours I've used on my image. So because it's very neutral in the background, you can really sort of go for a pop of colour. Once I'd written my words out, I'm going back with my pen and thickening up the letters, doing a second coat to make sure it's really bright. Yellow is one of those tricky colours in the paint world, as lots of times it's actually quite translucent. So when you do a second coat, it sort of really brightens it up a little bit. Once I've popped my letters on, I'm just going to dry them off. Then I'm going to pop a drop shadow on. And again, usually I do a black or a white, but in this case I am using a green because it was sitting there. I've used it on her top, so it's sort of blending those colors together. And one of the things I find with my pages is if you can repeat colors or patterns, it does help to tie it all together a little bit. So I chose this quote, "Never lose your sense of wonder," because I really loved her face with those flowers being projected on it, and it sort of gave me that, you know, she's wondering about something. She's got this beautiful projection on her face of the flowers and how that's happened and so on. So that's where that quote came from. Just to help frame off the letters a little bit, I'm actually going on the opposite side with an orange pen to completely enclose my letters with a shadow. So I've got the two opposites. I've got the green on one side and the orange on the other of the yellow. So you can sort of see that you get that fully enclosed light and dark on either side of your letter, which I really like that effect too. So here's a close-up of the finished page. It's pretty simple, but that big bold stenciling in the background really allows you to have a really great pop of colour on your page and gives you a bit more license to play with your collage as well. So it's a good background that you don't have to think very much about, and you don't have to feel guilty about gluing lots of stuff over the top. So I hope you have a go at it. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye for now.